Hello, candidates. Once again, I want to welcome you back to today's lesson. And I want to switch your mood into SST. We are still continuing with our notes. And today, we are going to look at the climatic regions of Africa. Remembering that yesterday, in our previous lesson, we looked at weather instruments, but particularly we looked at a Stevenson screen and a rain gauge. A lot of questions were posed in that lesson about the Stevenson screen and the rain gauge, and I believe that we understood each and everything, and that we are taking a step ahead to do more revision and more research in as far as those two aspects are concerned. Talking about the climatic regions of Africa, we are kicking off the real topic of climate. In the previous two lessons, we were just getting a certain revision, but I want us to begin the real topic of the climate of Africa by beginning with the climatic regions of Africa. I'm having a statement here, and it is saying the climatic regions of Africa are the different areas or zones in which different types of climate are experienced. Still, to take you back in primary 5, we looked at the types of climate which are experienced in Uganda, and as I told you in the very first lesson, that we are not going to have a big change. The only change we are going to have is that we are going to broaden this topic, but we are going to still look at some of the types of climate in Africa, and these types of climate are going to be the same as those ones which we looked at in Uganda. So we have the climatic regions. These regions are the areas, we can also call them zones, which experience the different types of climate. What are these climatic regions? Let us begin. We have the following climatic regions or zones in Africa. Number 1, we have equatorial climatic region. Number 2, tropical climatic region. Number 3, Mediterranean climatic region. Number 4, temperate climatic region. Number 5, mountain climatic region or montane climatic region. Number 6, we have the semi-desert or semi-arid climatic region. If we do not use the word desert, we can use the word arid. So these two mean the same. Semi-desert or semi-arid climatic region. And then lastly, we have the desert climatic region. You remember that in primary 5, we looked at equatorial, tropical, mountain, and semi-desert, being that these are the ones which are found in Uganda. In Uganda, we do not have deserts, we do not have temperate, and we do not have Mediterranean. So these three are the new ones I am introducing to you in this topic. Mediterranean climatic region, temperate climatic region, and then the desert climatic region. These are the regions in Africa which experience different types of climate. The types of climate we are talking about are 1, equatorial climate, 2, tropical climate, 3, Mediterranean climate, 4, temperate climate, 5, mountain or montane climate, 6, semi-desert or semi-arid climate, and 7, desert climate. These are the types of climate which are experienced in Africa. Each type is found in a particular region, or which you can call a zone. This means that equatorial climate is found in a zone known as equatorial climatic zone. Tropical climate is located in tropical climatic region. Mediterranean, still Mediterranean climatic region. Therefore, in brief, if the question asks, name the type of climate, our answer will be equatorial climate, tropical climate, according to the question. So if the question is asking for the type of climate, we just say equatorial climate, tropical climate, Mediterranean climate. Then name the climatic region, equatorial climatic region. So if the question has region, we have to go that direction, equatorial climatic region. If there is zone, equatorial climatic zone. If it's only type of climate, it will be equatorial climate. Let us continue. I want us to see how these climatic regions are distributed in Africa. I am having a map of Africa here showing that climatic regions of Africa. These are the climatic regions which are experienced in Africa. As we are seeing, different parts of Africa experience different climatic conditions. This is for reasons. As we are going to see in the future, we shall look at the factors which factors which affect the climate of Africa. So it is those factors which influence. One of the factors will be, we shall have factors like, just briefly, we shall have altitude, we shall have ocean currents. I believe because we have already copied the notes, we have this already. We shall have the prevailing wind, winds. We shall have the latitudes. We shall have latitude, and then we shall have vegetation, and even many others. So these are the factors which affect the climate of Africa. And it is because of these factors that we are having different climatic regions in Africa. The question will come, why do we have different climatic regions in Africa? It's so simple. Difference in altitude, difference in the ocean currents, difference in the prevailing winds, like that. As in the nearby future, I will be explaining that to you, as I've told you, when we are looking at the factors which influence climate. So this map of Africa, we are seeing we have this climatic region which is shaded green, and this one is, according to the key, it is equatorial climate. The type of climate is equatorial climate. Then the region is equatorial climatic region. Then we have this one here. This one is the tropical climate region, being the tropical climatic region. As we are seeing it, we are seeing that it is located. We have the line of latitude known as the Tropic of Cancer there, the equator here, and then the Tropic of Capricorn here. So the tropical region is found between the tropics. I've always been explaining to you what we mean by tropics. So this is the tropical climate region, being the tropical climatic region. Then we have this one which is clear. This one is desert climate. Desert climate as a type. Then the region is desert climatic region. This one which is up is what we call the Sahara Desert. And then down here we have the Namib Desert along the coast, and then the Kalahari Desert. They just connect. We have the Marine Desert here, the coast, the Marine Desert here, and then the one which is found inside the Kalahari Desert. The Marine Desert is what we call the Namib Desert, Kalahari Desert, and then the Sahara Desert. And we have another type of climate. We have this one which is found at the northern tip northern tip of Africa. In countries, remember this one, we have Egypt there, we have Libya here, we have Algeria, we have Tunisia. So, in the north of those countries, at the northern tip, and when we come down here, at the southern tip, it is still the same type of climate. And that one is the Mediterranean climate. It is found both in the northern tip and at the southern tip of Africa. Mediterranean climate region is Mediterranean climatic region. We have this one here. It is one of its own kind. It is only found here, just close to the Indian Ocean in the southwest, the southeast of South Africa. Here it is what we call the temperate climate. There is always a confusion which is created by the learners in identifying Mediterranean climate and temperate climate, especially when the map has been brought and they have only identified one and they say, name that type of climate. I want us to be very attentive and see, and then we understand that temperate climate is found in the southwest, and then in the southeast, and Mediterranean is found in the southwest. And then another factor that can enable us identify or differentiate temperate from Mediterranean is temperate is only found here. Then Mediterranean is both down and up. So in case they are to ask Mediterranean, they will shade, if they are shading, you will see they have shaded this part. Even look up. If they have used the letter P, it will be P here and up. X here and up. That is very easy to identify Mediterranean climates. But with the temperate, it's only here. So if you fail to locate here by only looking here, look here down and up. If it is only down here, temperate. Up and down, that is Mediterranean climate. And then we have this one here, which is found around the highlands, like the Ethiopian highlands there, like Jos Plateau here, the Ahaga Plateau here, we have the Drakensberg mountains there. So we have that kind of climate, and that is mountain climate. So these are the climatic regions which are found in Africa. To repeat, we have equatorial climates, we have tropical climates, we have Mediterranean climates, we have desert climates, we have mountain climates, and then semi-arid climates. Semi-arid climates somewhere locating to it is also called the Sahel region. This one's here, semi-arid climates. So those are the climatic regions which we experience in Africa. Let us continue. After looking at the climatic regions, I want us to begin by looking at one by one. Let's look at equatorial climate. Equatorial climates or equatorial climatic region, this is the region that lies between 5 degrees south of the equator and 5 degrees north of the equator. As on this map, the equator will run through at that point there. At that point, that will be the equator here where Manila is. So 5 degrees north of what? Of the equator, meaning it is the northern hemisphere. And then 5 degrees south of the equator, which is the southern hemisphere, that area is what we call the equatorial climatic region. It gets its name from the equator because it is around the equator. It is a region that is around the equator. That's why we call it the equatorial climatic region. So equatorial climatic region is that region which is found at 5 degrees north and 5 degrees south of the equator. Are we together, candidates? Yes. Which which type of climate is experienced in the equatorial climate region? That is equatorial climate. Describe the equatorial climate. As I told you in the beginning of the first lesson, that climatologists, are you looking at me? Climatologists, they study the two aspects of climate, and the aspects of climate are rainfall and temperature. Aspects of climate are rainfall and then temperature. So these two elements of weather, they are the ones which determine the type of climate which is experienced in an area. Therefore, rainfall brings two conditions. Rainfall brings two conditions. It will bring a wet condition or a dry condition. Meaning, if an area is receiving much rainfall, that area will be wet. If it is not receiving rainfall, or if it is receiving little, that area will be dry. Then, temperature also creates two conditions. One is hot. If we don't call it hot, we can also call it warm. Warm conditions in an area. Then two, we shall have the opposite of hot being cold. If it is not cold, it will be the opposite of warm, which is cool. All together. So, rainfall causes wetness or dryness. If it is received, wetness. Not received, dryness. Then temperature, hotness, which we also call warmness, or coldness, which we can also say coolness. So, we describe a type of climate depending, one, on the amount of rainfall which is received, and then two, the nature of temperature which is experienced in that area. So when we come to equatorial climate, how do we describe it? Equatorial climate is hot and wet throughout the year. Hot is bringing the aspect of temperature. Wet is bringing the aspect of rainfall. So equatorial climate is hot and wet throughout the year. Why do we say it is hot? Why do we say that equatorial climate is hot? This is because it experiences high temperatures. Equatorial climate is hot because it experiences high temperatures. Then why do we say it is wet? It is wet because it receives heavy rainfall. So the rainfall which is received in the equatorial region is heavy. That's why we call it is wet. The temperature which is experienced is hot, it's high. That's why we say it is hot throughout the year. In the equatorial region, we don't have a dry season. Rainfall is received throughout the year and the temperatures are high throughout the year. Are we together? That is why we say it is hot and wet throughout the year. Characteristics of equatorial climatic region. I told you that climatologists will study and they will identify the particular characteristics, and according to those characteristics, they will determine the type of climate which is experienced. One of the major characteristics of equatorial climate, it is hot and wet throughout the year. Two, it receives heavy rainfall throughout the year. Three, it experiences high temperatures of about 27 degrees. 27 degrees. Sometimes the temperatures can range like from 21 degrees up to can be like 28 degrees on average, depending on the location of that equatorial climate. So that is the nature of the temperature which is received. This is why I'm saying of about 27 degrees. Then the rainfall received usually occurs in the afternoon. That's another characteristic. And then the rainfall received is usually accompanied by lightning and thunder. Another thing which we need to know is the rainfall which is received is usually convectional rainfall. Why? Remember, the convectional rainfall is the type of rainfall which is received around water bodies and forested areas. Now, because equatorial climatic regions have very many water bodies and very many forests, by the way, this is the reason as why they receive heavy rainfall. Why? There are very many water bodies which evaporate. Very many water bodies which evaporate to form rain. Two, very many forests which transpirate to form rain. So, because the area has a lot of water bodies and a lot of forests, and we know that convectional rainfall is received in such areas, that's why we say the rainfall which is received in equatorial climatic region is convection. It experiences high temperatures. Why? Equatorial region is close to the equator. The equator, areas near the equator are hotter than the areas further the equator. Why? I explained that to you in primary 6, but I will repeat. Areas near the equator are hotter because they receive shorter sun rays. They receive shorter sun rays. Are you together? That's why they are hot. So they receive shorter sun rays, which raises the temperature. It is a bit confusing. Why do we say it is hot and wet? Sometimes whenever it rains, we expect coldness. But here we are saying it is hot and wet. Yes. The more it rains, the higher the temperatures in the equatorial region. What causes that? There is heavy rainfall which is being received and high temperatures. But what is causing these high temperatures? The shorter sun rays. And because, very fast, just look here. Because the sun rays are very strong, like if that is a water body, and this is the sun, and the sun rays will hit this water in the lake. The more or the stronger the sun rays, the higher the rate of evaporation. If you are cooking, maybe let's say on a charcoal stove, and you put little charcoal, you get 2 charcoal stoves. One you put very little charcoal, and another one you put too much. And then meaning the one with the little charcoal will have less fire compared to the other one with much charcoal. Which one is going to burn you fast? Common sense, the one with much charcoal. Good. So because the sun rays along the equator are very short, meaning they are more direct, meaning that the rate at which this water body is going to warm is going to be high. And because there is a high these sun rays are short, they are stronger, it will bring a high rate of evaporation. That's why we shall have a lot of rainfall received. Why? The rate of evaporation is very high. But still don't forget the sun rays are still there. That's why we say it is hot and wet throughout the year. I don't want to dwell on that so much. Those are the characteristics of equatorial climate. Then why do the equatorial climatic regions experience high temperatures? Yes, that's what I've been talking about. Due to the sun rays, or due to the sun or rays being overhead the equator in those regions. And then they receive shorter sun rays. They receive shorter sun rays. That's why they experience high temperatures. Then another question, which factor makes the equatorial climatic regions receive heavy rainfall throughout the year? I've told you the answers already. The presence of thick forests which help in the formation of convectional rainfall. How do the thick forests help in the formation of convectional rainfall? They transpirate. And then we have water bodies which evaporate to form rainfall. Why are equatorial places hot during day and night? Hot during day and night. In the day, it is hot. At night, it is hot with much rainfall. Why? They receive strong sunshine, with clouds which trap moisture. Now, very fast, I want to use 1 minute and explain this to you. Because there are strong sun rays in this region, the rate of evaporation will be high. And remember, as that vapor goes into the atmosphere, it will reach the condensation point, it will condense to form clouds. So that is why in the equatorial region, we always have the clouds. And these clouds will help to trap the moisture which is generated in the atmosphere due to the sun rays. That moisture will remain there. That's why during daytime, it is hot. Why? The sun rays are there. At night, still the place is hot. Why? The moisture was trapped by the clouds and it remained in the atmosphere. That's why the equatorial places are hot during day and night. When we look at the semi-arid, we shall say they are hot during day and cold during night. Why? We shall see when we get there. Before I conclude my lesson, I'm leaving behind an activity. Please answer it very well and very carefully. In the next lesson, when I come back, this is where we are going to pick up from. May God bless you. Thank you for listening.